The rise of the neo-reactionary state. This is no ordinary story of power. It is not the tale of politicians grasping for votes, nor of partisans waging their familiar battles over policy. It is something older, more deliberate, more final. There is a war underway for the soul of the American Republic, but it is a quiet war, fought not with armies, but with data, not with laws, but with influence, not with a declaration of dictatorship, but with a slow, methodical erosion of everything that once protected democracy from the ambitions of the powerful. This is the age of the neo-reactionary coup, and if the warnings go unheeded, the world that emerges on the other side of it will be one where government, as we have understood it, no longer exists. In its place, a state owned outright by a handful of men who already believed that democracy was a mistake, and who now, for the first time, see the means to correct it. The architects of collapse. It begins with a simple fact. The neo-reactionaries, NRX for short, do not believe in democracy. They do not argue for its reform. They do not seek to change its mechanisms or make them more efficient. They seek to destroy it. They are Curtis Yarvin, Peter Thiel, Marc Andreessen, Elon Musk, David Sachs, J.D. Vance, and Balaji Srinivasan, among others. Their ranks include investors, technologists, and ideologues, each standing to gain from the collapse of the nation-state. Their strategy is not to wage an open rebellion, but to hollow out the system from within, replace its structures with corporate rule, and install an unelected elite to run it like a business. Each man has his role. Each man has his reward. Curtis Yarvin, the Prophet. Curtis Yarvin, also known by his pen name, Mencius Moldbug, is the thinker who laid the foundation for all that is unfolding now. Over a decade ago, he began crafting an alternative future where America is ruled by a CEO, not a president, where democracy is abolished in favor of absolute executive control, where citizens are not voters, but subjects. To Yarvin, the Constitution is an outdated relic, a stumbling block to the true efficiency of a government run like a technology firm. He has called for a monarchical system where a strong leader, backed by corporate elites, rules without opposition. The courts, ceremonial. Congress, a rubber stamp. The press, irrelevant. His butterfly revolution blueprint, laid out years ago, is now being followed step by step. Seize the executive branch, purge the bureaucracy, ignore the courts, centralize police power, silence opposition, rule indefinitely. He was once dismissed as an obscure blogger. He is now the ideological voice behind the most powerful figures in the country. Peter Thiel, the billionaire backer. Peter Thiel has long been the financial engine behind this movement. A man who once stated bluntly, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible." He has spent decades funding projects that work to undermine democratic governance, most notably through his venture capital empire, which nurtured some of the most powerful surveillance and military technology firms in the world. Thiel is not merely a believer in autocracy. He is a man investing in its construction. He funds organizations designed to erode the institutions of democracy, from the press to academia to the electoral system itself. His fortune is vast, his influence unmatched, and his goals clear: to reshape America into a system where power is concentrated among those who deserve it, defined, of course, by wealth and intelligence, not by elections. Marc Andreessen, the technocrat. Marc Andreessen, the Silicon Valley investor, has made no secret of his dream of an unregulated techno-state, where corporations replace governments and where decisions are dictated by market forces rather than democratic processes. His essay, It's Time to Build, was an open call for the elite to discard democratic constraints in favor of unfettered innovation and control. He has called the state inefficient, the regulatory system broken, and the future a place where technologists must take over. Andreessen stands to gain from a world in which AI governs human affairs, cryptocurrency replaces national economies, and corporate city-states become the dominant form of governance. His money, like Thiel's, fuels the NRX movement, giving it the resources to embed itself in government. Elon Musk, the executor. Musk is the man putting these ideas into action. Unlike Yarvin, he does not theorize, he moves. Unlike Thiel, he does not finance from the shadows, he acts in broad daylight. Since January 20, he has consolidated power at an alarming pace, using the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, to take over the Treasury, the Office of Personnel Management, and key national security infrastructure. Treasury systems, where $6 trillion in payments are processed annually, now fall under the control of DOGE employees handpicked by Musk. Personnel records, payrolls, and security clearances for millions of federal employees are now accessible to his team. Foreign aid, government grants, and entire federal agencies have been frozen, gutted, or outright eliminated. Musk has not hidden his ambitions. He has spoken of running a government like a business and of removing inefficiencies from democracy. But what this really means is removing the ability of elected representatives to function at all. In the end, Musk benefits from this in the most direct way. He becomes the closest thing America has ever had to a corporate king. His businesses, which are already entwined with government contracts, will become the primary infrastructure of the state itself. SpaceX for defense, Starlink for communications, Tesla for transportation, XAI for surveillance. In his world, the United States does not function as a republic. It functions as an enterprise, one where the CEO is not elected and where the shareholders dictate policy, not the people. The final play. In the past 3 weeks, the strategy has been executed with precision. Take control of government infrastructure. Done. Seize the flow of federal money. Done. Purge the civil service. Underway. Remove the courts from the equation. Imminent. All of this has been made possible because the current administration has allowed it. The president has not acted as a counterweight. He has not enforced limits. He has invited these men in, allowed them to take over, and in doing so, surrendered the levers of power to unelected corporate oligarchs. What happens next is predictable. Democracy does not disappear overnight. It erodes, one agency at a time, one law at a time, one executive order at a time. And then, one day, people look up and realize it is gone. The choice ahead. There is still time to stop this, but time is running short. Congress must act. The courts must act. The people must act. If this power grab succeeds, it will not be undone at the ballot box, because in a neo-reactionary America, there will be no ballot box worth speaking of. The warning is clear. The playbook is open, and if we do not stop them now, the America we knew will cease to exist. Good night and good luck.